بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا وعظيمنا وطبيب قلوبنا وشفيع نفوسنا أبي القاسم محمد
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وعلى أهل بيت الطيبين الطاهرين وأصحاب الحر الميامين أما بعد يقول الله في كتاب الكريم والفرقان الحميد وقوله الحق بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا ويلتى ليتني لم أتخذ فلانا خليلا. Let us recite 3 salawats in honor of Imam al-Hussein, Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas and Imam al-Mahdi. 3 loud salawats ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
The subject concerning friendship is a subject that requires a thorough analysis and evaluation. What do we learn about friendship in Karbala? What do we learn about friendship from the Ahlul Bayt? What does the Quran say pertaining to this subject of companionship and establishing relationships with other individuals? There's a hadith in Biharul Anwar, volume 74, page 177. Imam al-Kadhim was asked, what is the ideal source of comfort? What is something that gives tranquility to the soul? Imam al-Kadhim replies, there are 2 things that refresh the soul. Number 1, an airy house, a house that is beautiful. The Imams have never said they do not have good houses, do not have, for example, a good source of income. That's number 1. Number 2, and plenty of friends. So the Imam emphasizes here that having many friends is something meritorious for you. It will add value to your life. Furthermore, in Biharul Anwar, volume 74, page 154, Imam Ali says, the weakest person is one who cannot make anyone his friend. Therefore, we are blessed that we live in a country like Tanzania. We belong to different races, different religions, different tribes and cultures, and therefore we are blessed with the opportunity to have many friends from different backgrounds. And the Imams of the Ahlul Bayt emphasize that it is important to establish relationships with people. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Now in the book Ma'ni al-Akhbar, Imam Muhammad Taqi relates from Imam Zainul Abidin that during the Battle of Karbala, when the matter regarding Imam Hussein turned severe, there were many individuals who were commenting about what was going on. So the enemies, whenever they entered the area where Imam Hussein's companions were there, they always said one thing, that these people do not have any fear. They are so connected and attached to each other, it is as though they have known each other for ages. When the reality is that many people who were part of Imam Hussein's army, quite a few of them just joined. They just realized that this man is right, he is a minority, but he is an oppressed person. So they joined Imam al-Hussein. And it says, these enemies say, they were cheerful, at peace, and tranquil. People would say, do you not see they do not fear death? Because they were so connected with each other that they were willing to sacrifice their lives for their friends and the right cause of God. Now the tradition says in Nafasul Mahmum of Sheikh Abbas Qummi, 2 companions that we normally don't discuss. Number 1, Saif ibn Haris and Malik ibn Abd. Who? Saif ibn Haris and Malik ibn Abd. Ahsant. So these 2 were cousins. They were cousins and foster brothers. So they came to Imam Hussein while they were weeping, they were crying. So Imam Hussein sees that these 2 people are crying. So he says, O sons of my brother, because they were also related to Imam al-Hussein. O sons of my brother, why do you weep? Why do you cry? By Allah, I desire that your eyes would be glowing. I want you to have a cheerful face. Why are you crying? Then they replied, these two, Malik ibn Abd, Saif ibn Haris, may Allah make us your ransom. We do not weep on account of ourselves. We are not crying for ourselves. We are crying because there is no one left to defend you. We are crying for you, O Hussein. Then Imam Hussein replies by saying, O sons of my brother, may Allah reward you for your sympathy and for your conscience. Both of them go and enter the battlefield. They fight valorously and eventually they are martyred. But look at these two. They do not say we cry. They have also been there for 3 days and 3 nights, thirsty, hungry. But they say we do not cry on account of ourselves. We cry because of you. So this is true friendship. People who stand up for you during times of crisis, during times of difficulty and challenges. Helen Keller. In Lions Clubs International, you normally hear this individual's name mentioned constantly, Helen Keller. She was blind, she was deaf, she had a problem of speech. However, she graduated from a university and she even overcame some of her challenges. So she says in one of her quotes, I would rather walk with a friend in the dark than alone in the light. I'd rather have a companion in the dark rather than walk alone in the light. Because you trust each other. Imam Hussein's companions, why are they so iconic until today? Because of the level of trust. They all trusted one another. In another quotation by Oscar Wilde, Oscar Wilde was an Irish poet and a playwright. He was one of the most prominent playwrights in London in the early 1890s. He says, ultimately the bond of all companionship in marriage or in friendship is conversation. The ability to talk to one another, interact with each other. Whenever there is something, do not just say, basi meisha, hapana. Try and communicate. Mawasiliano, as we say in Kiswahili. So, learn how to communicate. Learn how to articulate your feelings. Now here we have many Zanzibaris, so if I make any errors in my Swahili, please forgive me. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And there are many distinguished sheikhs as well present here. So let us recite one loud salawat for all the services they render. Now if I ask you right now, who is your best friend? What will you say? Okay. So Uncle Muhammad says his wife. Brother here says my father. Although you see they're the same family. Huh? So one is saying my father, one is saying my wife, but they're in the same family. Now, Allah in the Quran says that you have the opportunity to be friends with the most powerful entity. Now I'm not referring to the president. Who am I referring to? Let's look at the Quran. Surah 6, An-Na'am, verse 126. وَهَذَا صِرَاطٌ رَبِّكَ مُسْتَقِيمًا. And that is a path straight, unwavering. قَدْ فَصَّلْنَا الْآيَاتِ لِقَوْمِ يَذَّكَّرُونَ. We have already made the signs clear to those who are mindful. Then what does Allah say? This is very interesting. لَهُمْ دَارُ السَّلَامِ. Not this Darus Salam. لَهُمْ دَارُ السَّلَامِ عِنْدَ رَبِّهِمْ وَهُوَ وَلِيُّكُمْ كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. For them will be a heaven of peace. Darus Salam, by the way, means heaven of peace with their Lord. And He will be their protecting friend of what, and He will remind them of what they used to do. So Allah says, if you follow His guidance, He will be your best friend. Now imagine, if I tell you right now, for example, you have the ability to become best friends with the Prime Minister of the country, Mheshimiwa Kassim Majaliwa. Or I'm giving you the opportunity to be best friends with the President, Mama Samia Suluhu Hassan, Honorable Samia Suluhu Hassan. You'll be like, this is amazing. But Allah is saying that there's someone more powerful than all presidents, leaders, kings, and that is me. And I will be your best friend. Further than that, in Surah Furqan, chapter 25, verse 28. Now, question. Allah says, get many friends. Ahlul Bayt say, have as many friends as possible. But should you discern? Should you check, analyze? Whom should you befriend? Should you just be friends with anyone? Allah says in Surah Furqan chapter 25 verse 28, Ya waylata laytani lam attakhidh falanan khalila. There will come a day where you will say, woe to me. Woe to me. I wish I had never taken so and so as a friend. I wish I was not friends with this person. They misguided me. Now, whom should you not befriend? Question, right? Allah says in the Quran, don't befriend certain individuals. Whom? Answer, the Ahlul Bayt. Imam Zainul Abidin says this is in Usulul Kafi, volume 72, page 376. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Imam Zainul Abidin advises his son, Imam Muhammad Baqir. And I love it when I read these hadiths and see how respectful the Imams are to their children. This shows us that it is very important to be respectful. So number one, Imam Zainul Abidin says to Imam al-Baqir, "O my son, avoid acquaintance with 5 types of people." Do not befriend 5 types of people. This is where Usulul Kafi, volume 72. Number one, don't be friends with a liar, because he's like a mirage. Things that are far, he will say they are near. Things that are near, he'll say they are far. Sometimes you have people like this. You want to pursue a career in something? Who is it? I don't think so. You want to perform well in life? You want to change your lifestyle? You, Ejaz, you want to change your lifestyle? Impossible. Be very careful. Number 2, don't make a transgressor your friend, because he will sell you for as low a price as possible. He will sell you. In Kiswahili we say watakuuza. They will sell you at a very cheap price. Number 2. Number 3, don't make a stingy person your friend, because they will not help you during times of need. Someone who is always niggardly. There's a word in English which means extremely miserly. Be very careful of those people. That's number 3. Sometimes you have this friend, you support as much as you can, but when you are in a time where you require assistance, problem. Now someone may say, Ejaz, I think I have a friend like this. What should I do? Should I stop being friends with that person? That is not what the Ahlul Bayt are trying to say. We ourselves are not perfect. Maybe even we belong to one of these categories. So first let us judge ourselves before we judge others. But the only reason the Ahlul Bayt say this is be careful and instill good values in yourself and in your friends. If you feel there's something lacking and you feel you can help your friend out, by all means go ahead. Number 4, don't make a stupid person your friend, lest he bring harm to you because of his lack of common sense. These days there's a trend. If someone who has the least brains, someone who is, what you call dons, or like people who always portray themselves as very powerful, we tend to start siding with them, and because we're like, okay, it's fine, one day it might come to bite you. That's number 4. So be careful. Try befriending those people who are intellectuals, people who are kind, compassionate. Number 5, don't befriend those who deprive their kin of their rights. People who have broken ties with their family members. Be careful of them, because Allah has withdrawn His mercy from such individuals. Again, I re-emphasize, if you have a friend who belongs to these categories, I'm not saying that stop talking to them. No, try and help. Try and see if you can guide that person and see whether you belong to one of these categories. Now, sometimes friendship holds more value than familial relationships. What do I mean? In Karbala, there's a very interesting riwayah in Tarikh al-Tabari, volume 5, page 435, and Abi Makhnaf narrates in Waq'at al-Taf, page 223, that Amr ibn Qarza al-Ansari was among the martyrs in Karbala. How did he get martyred? How did he pass away? Imam Hussein alayhi salam was leading. Ma salli ala. Imam Hussein alayhi salam was leading prayers, and this man Amr ibn Qarza al-Ansari stands in front of the Imam. They start showering arrows, but this man comes forward, and the arrows that were directed towards Imam al-Hussein, he comes forward and takes it on his chest. As he's about to pass away, Imam Hussein looks at Amr ibn Qarza al-Ansari. He says, may Allah reward you. for shielding the Imam of your time. And in addition, your father was a companion of Rasulullah. Your father was a companion of Imam Ali. I will never forget your favors. I can already see that you are in heaven. Please send my salutations to Rasulullah. Amr had a brother called Ali. Some narrations say his name was Zubair. So this Zubair, he was on the side of Umar ibn Sa'ad. Imagine two brothers, blood brothers, one on the side of Imam al-Hussein, the other one with Imam al-Hussein. One on Imam al-Hussein's side, the other at Umar ibn Sa'ad's side. Now, of course, he's attached to his brother. He sees his brother being killed right in front of his eyes. He sees the dead body taken away. He starts crying. Where is he? With Umar ibn Sa'ad. He furiously comes towards Imam al-Hussein and he says that you have taken the life of my brother. Imam al-Hussein then says, it is not me, but your brother willingly gave his life for protecting human rights. Then he says, my brother was misguided. You misguided my brother. Then Imam al-Hussein says, no. He says, no. In fact, you are the one who is misguided. So now he becomes furious. Zubair al-Ansari. He then approaches the tent of Imam al-Hussein, attempting to assassinate the grandson of Rasulullah. But what happens? A man called Nafi' bin Hilal comes and protects Imam al-Hussein, shields Imam al-Hussein. But what do we learn from this? Two brothers, but one fights for his friend. The other one fights for material wealth. So sometimes it is important to stick up for your friends, regardless of the situation. I end my talk with the riwayah. One of the prophets in Islam, and this prophet is revered throughout the world for his humanity, for his compassion, for establishing harmony, Nabi Isa. We learn a plethora of lessons from Nabi Isa, whether you study the Quran, the Hadith, and the Bible, the New Testament. And Nabi Isa held many great relationships in his life. Few, but there are many lessons we learn from him. Imam Ali narrates in Bihar al-Anwar, volume 44, that once Jesus Christ was with his 12 disciples. This 12 is a very significant number. Nabi Isa passed by a land and he suddenly started crying, profusely crying. So the companions are baffled, shocked. Why is Nabi Isa crying? Oh Jesus, oh Master, why art thou crying? Why art thou weepest? Nabi Isa looks towards them with a tear in his eye and he says, do you know which land I am in? They say, no. He said, we are in a land called Karbala. Then Nabi Isa says, remember I always talk about a prophet who will come after me. His name is Ahmad. In the Bible, in the Gospel of John, chapter 16, verses 12 to 14, there's a prophecy regarding Prophet Muhammad. Now, whether the Christian scholars interpret it this way, whether we interpret it another way, that's a different discussion. But according to many theologians, scholars, they assert that this verse refers to the Holy Prophet. So Nabi Isa says, remember I always talk about Ahmad, Nabi Ahmad, who will come after me. They said, yes, he's a great man. And he will guide the entire Muslim nation. Then Nabi Isa says that very same Muslim nation will assassinate his very own grandson on this very plains of Karbala. हाँ ज़ादारो एक मोमिना थी, बहुत बूढ़ी हो चुकी, शायद उसकी जिम्मेदारियां भी खत्म हो। हाकिम ने कहा, आज हमारी जीत का जश्न मनाया जाएगा। देखा मेरे घर के करीब ऊंटों को रोका, उसमें एक ज़ईफा अपने सफेद बालों से अपना चेहरा छुपाई बैठी है और उनकी गोद में एक नन्ही बच्ची है जिसमें जख्मी कान भी नजर आ रहे हैं और रुखसार पे तमाचों के नील भी नजर आ रहे हैं। अब ये मंजर देख रही है कि एक मर्तबा बच्ची ने चेहरा उठाया, पुपी अम्मा करबला से प्यासी चली आ रही हो, यहाँ भी पानी नहीं मिलेगा। ये मोमिना उम्मे हबीबा तड़प गई, दौड़ के गई, जल्दी से पानी का गुदा लेके हाथ बढ़ा के सकीना को दिया, पानी ले लिया सकीना ने। उम्मे हबीबा ने कहा, ए बच्ची, जब पानी पीना तो मेरे हक में 2 दुआएं जरूर करना। اگر پیاسے کے سامنے پانی رکھ دو نا تو خود بخود پیاس بڑھ جاتی ہے. بہت چھوٹی اور پیاسی بھی ہے مگر جیسے ہی جملہ سنا دعا ہے تو مشکل کشا کی پوتی نا. پانی کو ہونٹوں سے دور کر دیا. پہلے تیرے لیے دعا کی جائے گی پھر سکینہ پیاس بجھائے گی. بتا تیری پہلی دعا کیا ہے؟ کہا خدا میرے بچے کو تیری طرح قیدی اور یتیم نہ بنائے. ہائے ننھی بچی نے ہاتھوں کو جوڑا آسمان کو دیکھا خدا وندھا. میرے بوڑھے باپ کا کٹے ہوئے سر کا واسطہ میرے چچا عباس کے کٹے ہوئے بازوؤں کا واسطہ. جیسی یتیمی سکینہ کو آئی ہے اس مومنہ کے بچے کو محفوظ فرما. اچھا تو دوسری دعا کیا ہے؟ اس مومنہ نے کہا ام حبیبہ نے کہا مرنے سے پہلے مدینے کی زیارت کا موقع اور دے. سکینہ نے ہاتھ اٹھائے. زینب نے پوچھا مدینے میں کیوں جانا چاہتی ہو؟ ام حبیبہ نے کہا علی کا وارث حسین سے ملنا چاہتی ہوں. فاطمہ کی بیٹی زینب کو دیکھنا چاہتی ہوں. زینب نے کہا صرف اتنا بتا دو زینب کو پہچان سکتی ہو؟ ام حبیبہ نے فخر سے کہا میں اور زینب کو نہ پہچانوں؟ زینب نے چہرے سے بالوں کو ذرا سا ہٹایا. اے ام حبیبہ غور سے دیکھو میں ہی علی کی بیٹی زینب بنت علی حسین کی بہن زینب ہوں.